more peptides that people aren't familiar with, like peptides that can heal your gut or your brain health. Is there anything that you use or that's coming out that you're excited about?
In terms of gut health, I mean, most people out there now know about BPC 157. That's still the core of most of the gut. The one that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of tagged in there for the gut is something called KPV, which is also really good for just inflammation in general. Like it could be injected into like a knee joint for arthritis or tendonitis. Same thing with the shoulder or anything else. But it's also really good for patients. Like I have patients with like Crohn's disease or also colitis, and they've healed their gut in about 3 months with it. So it's really good for that stuff. In terms of brain, there's always something new out there for brain. In terms of the one that I'm using, the core is still something called dihexa, which is a cream, and
Mm-hmm.
patients really get really good benefits from it really quickly, especially patients with brain fog. That's why I like that one. Another one that's really good for brain and also for healing is something called GHK copper. A lot of people are now using it for their skin as a cream, or they're doing like the patients who are like microneedling or putting in naturally microneedle. But if you actually do the injection, it actually works really incredibly well. Like a lot of my athletes aren't getting the improvement with BPC or TB4, thymosin beta 4, we're putting on the GHK, and I'm finding more and more they're saying, yeah, my tendons are healing, my muscles feel great, but my brain clarity is like 20-30% better. And there are some studies that back that up now. So I've started using GHK copper more. The only thing you have to be careful of is if you do it long term, you do want to get your copper levels checked and your zinc. But otherwise, that is the one I'm really falling in love with more now in terms of on the peptide side, in terms of brains. That and dihacks are a good place to start.
Wow, that's cool. What about anything else for the brain that's not a peptide? What do you go to? I mean, I know like mushrooms and things on lion's mane seem to be getting more popular now. Is there anything else that you prescribe as far as a supplement?
I mean, my favorite now is something called methylene blue.
Mm-hmm.
It actually was used as a chemical compound in labs a long time ago and was used for like carbon monoxide and other things before. And now we're finding that's incredibly good for brain health. You may see people on social media who put out their blue tongues. That's a form of it. That's kind of how it's got its claim to fame, partly how it got out there.
Yeah.
But it works. It's either it could be done as a pill, or I tend to do it more as an IV when I have the time to do it. What it does is does a lot of different things. It actually helps the mitochondria, which is the energy, the battery part of your cell, work better. It helps with ATP production, which is like just think that for people who remember Pac-Man, it's like your power pellet that you need for your body to work better.
Yeah.
It also will decrease inflammation, and they're now finding that it may be helpful for patients who have Alzheimer's. And I know, like, if I'll take that, I just find that it's incredibly great. It's a brain boost in terms of clarity and brain energy, what I kind of describe it. Like people kind of peter out at 2 o'clock of their day, like I'm good in the morning, and then I crash at like 2. Instead
Right.
of taking the caffeine, they'll take like a methylene blue. That's one of them. And the other one that has some really good promise is what's called exogenous ketones. Because people who are on the keto diet, they get the release of ketones. People who aren't doing the keto diet for whatever reason, you can get a little bottle of exogenous ketones, and that's been shown to really help with brain function as well potentially athletic performance. So those are two real easy ones to take.
Yeah.
They're not insanely expensive. You don't have to inject yourself. Those are kind of a couple my two, and the other one I love is something called Spermidine,
Mm-hmm.
which is now becoming like the biggest superstar on the anti-aging market at this point. David Sinclair just put a post out that went crazy about it, and it's been out there for like 6 months. The companies can't keep it in stock, and it's really great for brain health as well as for people who are into the autophagy and mitochondrial health. Those are probably the big three. There's a bunch else out there, but those are the big three that we'll talk about.
So these are all supplement form that they can get, or is it you have to be prescribed?
You can get all of them. I'm trying to think. You can get all of them on your own.
Okay.
None of them or you get higher dose through a doctor, but you can get all of those on your
All
own.
right. Is there anything people should be aware of if they're just searching this, like, anything like make sure you don't get this type or, any specific, brand that's not good?
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of the only one that's concerning is the methylene blue. You want to make sure that you aren't getting something that somebody's using on a lab which is not meant for human consumption.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of like Doctors will use what's called a compounding pharmacy. They have to abide by higher standards, so they'll make it for you in a pill form or a liquid. Or we'll get as an IV.
Mm-hmm.
The one big company out there that's making the methylene blue in a healthy way is a company called Transcriptions out of California.
Okay, what's the name of the company again?
TRO Scriptions.